Human Time was a perfect opportunity for Syzygy and Unique to come together, really, wasn't it? Collaborate with a really wide network of partners and just really showcase our capabilities from a content marketing perspective.
We realised quite quickly that it was a very complex story to tell, and that we needed to be quite agile in our planning frameworks and use different techniques to reach different audiences across the internet.
From a creative perspective, it was once in a lifetime opportunity to create this fantastic piece of Duchamp artwork. Combine that with the latest in filmmaking technology and mobile data visualization to create this really unique, really beautiful piece of digital content. There was a huge technical challenge over combining time-lapse and long exposure photography simultaneously. And then on top of that, we were up against Mother Nature as well, because we had the sun going down and we had the tide coming in, so we had a really small operating window to get the filming right.
Number 9! Number 9! Can you not see if we're in shot?
Guys, just to let you know, I can't see any live feed yet.
Fucking time is going, kids. Time is going.
Are we in shot at the moment?
Can't see you.
Well, can you help us?
The idea for Human Tide came about from Marcel Duchamp. It's a piece of his art that never actually got made. We discovered a drawing that was done as a study for 3 standard stoppages. It was annotated La Marée Humaine, which translates as Human Tide. Originally what we wanted to do was replace the tide as it moved out with light. So there's a sea of light that reflects where the tide was. Herne Bay in midwinter is a pretty desolate place. It was sub-zero, we were all wrapped up in parkas, and we really didn't know what we were doing. That was reflected in the fact that we've turned up and the wrong tide was there, and it wasn't dark, and we had nothing to test, and we didn't know where to put the cameras.
So if you shot that way, you'd have the pier in the background.
I knew I needed a really big light stick. So I went to see the people in the lab at Native and said, right, I need a 7-metre long stick of light. Serge was the guy who figured out how to make the thing that I wanted to make. He was the guy who said, you are breaking the laws of the space-time continuum, and here's how you do it.
So we've got one film camera and one stills camera. The stills camera is taking the long exposure and the film camera is filming real time. We can then, in post-production, marry both images together and make a beautiful image that nobody's ever produced ever before.
It was tremendously important to bring people into the process. In bringing them together, they formed the work. And in capturing and observing it and using lots of different people to make this thing, we would produce something over which we had little control in terms of its outcome. The last rehearsal in Herne Bay, we did a whole load of stuff that we then abandoned. Everything changed. The size of the sticks, the markers, the way the tide went, everything changed again. Painting with light on film is one thing, but what happens in the invisible spectrum? Michel at Syzygy said, look, you know, we can make mobile phones leave a data trail and visualize that.
What I really liked about this data is that it's something that you normally cannot see, but then if you record it, it stays like footprints, and I think that's really beautiful.
Do I have to make music? He said. I said, well, you know, you don't have to make music, it's entirely up to you. And he goes, great, I'm not going to make 3 pieces of music, I'm going to make some sounds.
Well, I think all 3 sounds, they're interesting enough on their own. I tried to score each film with its own little self-contained thing. You know, like the third one was a much brighter kind of sound made out of stretching sounds from the recording, from the time.
When you put them all together in the final film, it reveals itself as music, and that is an incredibly Duchampian idea.
What's good fun about doing this is I sat down to try and bend a set of rules into something. I didn't know what it was going to be.
We've taken the data that was recorded on the day with the GPS app. We've packaged all of that up and put that up on GitHub, again for anybody to download and reuse and remix.
From a planning perspective, we're trying to create some very technically difficult content. We're trying to deliver that to multiple audiences, many of whom are very different from each other. And pulling that together into an experience, trying to match what is happening on the beach online. If we do that, we create a truly memorable experience that people will keep coming back to time and time again, that people will talk about and people will share.
Every single time we've done this, I stand about here and go, this is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever done in my life.